Hello, everybody. It's Stephen here for another episode of the Idiot Quilter. It's episode number 280, and it's October the 1st, 2024. Welcome to the last third of the month. Last quarter of the month. So, yeah, before we know it, guess what's this around the corner besides Halloween? Yeah, the C word, Christmas. So let's take a look at what I've been working on, shall we? So let's go over here. Okay, you've seen this in bits and pieces, but now it's completely finished. This is my Thanksgiving table runner. It's called Whimsical Turkey Table Runner. Say that fast 5 times. And it is designs by Juju. And I think it's really cute. It's very colorful. That's what caught my eye when I saw this, that, this could be really fun with playing around with colors. And that's exactly what I have done. Now, before you point out that 2 of the turkeys are upside down, yes, they are on purpose. That was in the pattern actually for this. And the reason being is then people at both sides of your table can see a turkey. Okay. And I think it balances out a little bit more. This was fun to do, although there are a lot of pieces to it, and it took some time, but I think it turned out quite nice. So yeah, I think it's going to look great on my Thanksgiving table when I have my family over here for Canadian Thanksgiving, and which comes up in about 2 weeks' time. So just in time. Now I have some other things I'm working on for my Thanksgiving table. I'm working on some fall colored napkins, and I'm also working on some 3D printed pieces that I want to put together as a centerpiece, although I've been running into a few little minor technical issues with what I'm doing there, but you usually do. It's okay. I've got time. It'll all work out. It's not the end of the world. Okay, let's go back to me. And let's see what's coming up. Well, sewing with Stephanie and Stephen as usual on Wednesdays, 9 a.m. start time. Come and go as you please. You don't have to be there right at 9. And we usually run until about 4 p.m. And yeah, we just work on whatever we want to work on, enjoy some nice conversation amongst friends. And if you've never been to one of our sessions before, hey, all are welcome. Okay? Of all levels, if you wish, of creativity. It doesn't matter. We're a friendly, supportive group. Show us what you've been working on. If you want to, you'll get nothing but praise and support. And we don't get into any kind of drama. We don't talk politics, religion. We do talk weather. We usually talk about weather at times. But yeah, it's just great to catch up with everybody. And yeah, if you've never been to one and you want to come out, what's holding you back? We're a nice bunch. We don't bite. Okay, and speaking of other events, we're coming up on to the Idiot Quilter Fall 2024 retreat. Registration for it opens at 9 a.m. Saturday, October 5th. So this coming Saturday at the time of recording this. All you have to do if you want to attend, it is a free event. I hope you've seen my video about the whole thing. It explains all the ins and outs about it, and I recommend that you watch it, and there's a link for it in my show notes below, so check that out if you haven't already. Registering is just to reserve your spot. I can handle about 95 people. It does fill up very, very quickly, however, so I'm opening it up at 9 a.m., not before, so do not try to register a day before or even 10 minutes before 9 o'clock, okay? Because I will be inundated with people who want to request a spot, and I want to make it as fair as I possibly can. So it's on a first come, first served basis as the emails come into me that state your name, first and last, real names, please. If you do not have a first name or a last name there, if it looks like it is an alias, okay, then I will reject your registration. This is all for security purposes, okay? And all you need to do is say, hi, register me for retreat, please. My name is John Brown, and here is my email address that you can contact me at. And you don't even have to put that in if the email address you're writing from is the same as you wish to be contacted at. So yeah, it's very, very simple. I will send you back very shortly thereafter a confirmation saying, yep, your spot is reserved. But please, please pay special attention to my information in that video I just mentioned that talks about my blacklist. Essentially, the blacklist is for those people who decide at the last minute not to show up for whatever reason. And they don't inform me beforehand, because I usually have a waiting list to get onto this. And if someone can't suddenly finds out a few days before or even a week before that they no longer can show up on that day, then, and I know about it, then I will take someone from my waiting list and put them in that spot. That is very important. If I don't hear from you and you just don't show up on that day, then I keep a list. Yes, I do. I keep a list of who's been naughty and who's been really naughty. And yeah, you'll never be invited or allowed to register for any future retreats. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I know it sounds cruel because, you know, life happens. And yes, life does happen. And, you know, if you tell me, you know, in advance, then that's okay. All right. And here's an excuse. I think I mentioned it on Stephen and Walter Live this week that I will not accept. Oh, I had to babysit my grandchildren. Nope, 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 nope. Sorry. This day is for you. Okay. You tell your family that you are not available on that day. Okay. That is not a legit excuse. I'm sorry. It's not. Okay. So please, if you haven't seen that video, it's all explained there. And yeah, please watch that. Okay, so what else was happening? Excuse me. Country Roads Shop Hop. All right, that was on, I think it started on Thursday, ran till Saturday. It's 4 shops north of me, the furthest one being about an hour north of me. And we went to this last year, and it's a shop hop. So you go from shop to shop, and they give you a special discount. I think it was 15% off any fabric on the bolt. And you have a little passport, a little paper passport, and you get each shop person to check off their box on there. And then at the end of the shop hop, you can deposit it in a box at the last store you go to, and you're up for a grand prize. Suddenly got a frog. So we did not go to all 4 of the shops on the list. We went to 3 out of the 4. One of them we bypassed, but that was okay. The reason we bypassed it was it's a little off the beaten track. Well, actually, to be honest, they're all a little bit off the beaten track, except for maybe one that's in a major city or town. It's not a city. And it's a nice shop, but it has what I call a whole lot of old lady fabric in there, and their prices are fairly high. In fact, with the exception of one, all of these shops, their fabrics are at a premium price. So, you know, with the 15% they were giving you off that, it brought it down a little bit better. But anyways, we did go around, and I did buy a few things. Of course I did. Now, I held back. I didn't buy a whole lot, and I'll be honest that the reason being is there isn't a heck of a lot that really excites me anymore in fabric. I'm sorry to say. Just, it's the same old, really. So I ended up buying some backing fabric at one place because their prices are always really good on backing fabric. And, well, here's my haul. Let's talk about it as I tell you more. So let me get the picture up here on the screen for you. And this is the first place we went to. It was the one that was the furthest north from us, called Quilter's Inn. I didn't bother this time to take any video because the stores were busy inside, and, you know, a lot of people don't want to get on video, and it's very difficult to maneuver your camera around in these fairly confined spaces because, you know, quilt shops, at least these 4, are not huge. So in this one called Quilter's Inn, it is basically she's got a sign outside that says Fabric Shack, and it is a shack. In fact, if you've never been there before, you might be tempted not to bother because, yeah, it's a very, to say the least, a rustic setting. I mean, There's a house there. It's a gravel sort of lot for parking your car. And there's some old cars, junkers in the backyard. And this fabric shack's right there in the middle. But she has a really large collection of fabric. And as I said, she has some background fabric out of, well, they vary in price, anywhere from about $18 a meter to about $30 a meter. So it depends on what you want. She has a really great selection of flannels if you're into flannel as well. So, and if you're into novelty prints, and kids prints especially, she has a lot of that to choose from. But this is what I bought, and I went there. I was specifically wanted Canadian themed. I wanted the Northcott O Canada line, whatever they had left, because I'm about to work on another quilt of valor. So I wanted some of that fabric. So you can see the array that I bought here in reds and maple leaves and things like that on it. And I also bought 3 meters of a backing fabric. I thought this was really pretty. And it was, I think, $20 a meter. So that's really good, because when I buy 108-inch wide back fabric, I always buy 3 meters. That always does me for any quilt that I'm making. So yeah, so that's what I got at the first stop. The second stop was in Lindsay, a little town north of us, and we've been to this shop before as well. It's called Appleseed Quilt Works. To be honest, there wasn't anything grabbing me in there. It's a lovely store, the way it's laid out inside. Probably the nicest of the stores on the list in the way it's laid out, although Quilter Quilting is on there too, and it's a really nice store as well. So yeah, between those two are both really nice. I can't pick one over the other really. But this fabric, I had bought this entire line back, probably, actually I think it was last year's shop hop, because I really like it. It's by Libs Elliott, and I can't remember exactly what it's called, but I have some of this in my collection. I have used quite a bit of it in some other quilts. This was on her 50% off rack, and so I grabbed all that they had on that rack, and I took whatever was left on the bolt for that, and it varied. And it was 15% off, and her prices are at the upper level of what you expect to pay. So yeah, it was great to be able to get that. Walter bought a couple of fat quarter bundles as well while he was there, which is unusual, because Walter's usually looking at fabric for shirts. So I'm not sure what he has in mind for those fat quarter bundles. So that's what I bought there. And then, of course, we went down to Quilter Quilting. And to be honest, I didn't see anything in there that was grabbing me. They have a good selection of wide back as well, but it is extremely expensive. Actually, all of their fabric is expensive there, but it is all premium too. And they carry fabric in there that you may not see in other quilt stores as well. So that's what you're paying for. The, premium fabric, which is fine, and, for a little different selection. So I picked up these blenders because I thought they were great. So I got this spectrum of colors, and I always buy 2 meters of anything when I buy fabric. And I also picked up a couple of threads to quilt with that are variegated. One of these, it's hard to see in the light that I took this picture in, but it's kind of a dark reds, variegated reds and light reds. Thought that would be great on that gnome quilt that I showed you last week. I still haven't got around to quilting yet. And this one is more Christmassy. I'm having a hard time finding... Give me a second here. Clear my throat. So as I was saying, I find it very difficult to find variegated thread I can use on my long arm that has Christmassy colors in it. This one comes pretty close. It's got some reds, it's got some greens, but it also has some yellows and oranges in it as well. So yeah, it was as close as I could find to that kind of thing. I am sure it does exist. It's just where I'm going, they're not carrying it. Okay, so that was my shopping haul. What did I spend? About $500 for everything I just showed you. Okay, so something else new I want to talk about. So last week I was talking about having lost my Sojo and trying to get it back, and I think I'm getting it back now. Now that I've done that table runner and I'm working on some napkins, and you can see there's the start of the Quilts of Valor quilt that I'm going to be making. I'm playing around right now with maple leaf designs. I'm not absolutely sure what this is going to look like at the end, but I have an idea in my head. So it's coming back. But I was also stating that I'm the kind of person that if I have a purpose for what I'm making, like I'm giving it to somebody very specific or to an organization or something, then that inspires me to work on things because otherwise they're fun to work on, but my quilts are piling up again. And you've heard me talk about that before. And yes, I have donated to several different organizations and I will continue to do so. Um, but I had mentioned that, once you give a quilt to a donation as a donation, you never see anything about it again. And in a lot of cases, I have found you don't even get a thank you note. I mean, call me old fashioned, but um, I think at least they could send you out an email thanking you for your donation. I got nothing from any of those organizations that I donated to, with the exception of the Quilts of Valor. So I was thinking, well, where else can I donate quilts? Well, one of my subscribers came up with a brilliant idea. There's a YouTube channel that is run by a gentleman that lives 2 towns over from me called Glenn and Friends Cooking. And I watch his videos all the time. I love them. She suggested I reach out to him because he is a pilot. He owns his own little plane. And what he does is he belongs to a charitable organization called Hope Air. And what they do is they fly into, I'm still getting this frog, sorry about that. They fly up to, remote areas north of where I live, like way up north, and in different parts of Canada. And people who need extensive medical care but can't get, because of their location, to a facility that can accommodate them, they fly them. They load them up and fly them to that facility, and they do this for free. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that flying an airplane and that is an expensive thing. She suggested, this subscriber, Kathy Gore is her name. She suggested that I contact Glenn and Friends and say, they might need some of the quilts because it's if you're sick, if you're not well, you are subject to cold, more susceptible to it than healthy people. And so, quilt is something that keeps them comfortable and warm on the flight down, and they've got something they can hang on to while they're in the hospital, and after they get out and that kind of thing. So I thought, sure, that sounds like a great idea. So I found Glenn's email address. I wrote to him. I got an answer back within a half an hour saying he thought it was a great idea and he was going to contact the organizers of Hope Air and they'd get back to me. In fact, they were talking about auctioning off one of my quilts to raise money if I was agreeable to that. And I said, I am. So, long story short, later today, I have a video conference call with some of the people involved in this organization to talk about the logistics of all of this. So, yeah, I'll keep you up to date on that when I find out. So, that's breathing new life into my creative endeavors. Okay, so I don't know why I am suddenly all stuffed up. Don't know what that is. Okay, so moving on, pushing through this. So Chatty, this past week, we talked all about feet for your sewing machine. If you've bought a new sewing machine, whenever, it probably came with a lot of feet. And you probably only use 1 or 2 or 3 of those feet. And you probably don't know what the other ones do. So there they sit. So that's the way we are too. I mean, essentially, I use about 2 different feet for quilting, and that's it. And I have all these other ones. So Walter and I put together a video exploring about 14 different feet and what they do. The video was a bit of a comedy routine because we had a very awkward camera setup, for one thing. Sound isn't actually our best because of the setup we had to have, and we bumble our way through these feet. But I think you get the gist of what these are, and it may give you some ideas for exploring further how you can use maybe some of these feet you never thought of before in your creative projects, for your creative projects. So yeah, so check that out if you haven't. There's a link for it in the show notes. And thread stands. Okay, I bought 2 plastic thread stands to use with my embroidery machine because I like to have as many of my threads that I'm going to use for a project laid out and ready to go. And so I created a sort of a new setup that I'm experimenting with these thread stands. And yeah, well, I've done a little video to show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to insert that here. I just purchased a new thing for my embroidery machine. No, I did not purchase an embroidery machine, but on my embroidery machine, if you look here at the back, I have 5 spool stand for this machine, which is great. However, when you're doing machine embroidery, as you probably know, you do a lot of thread changes, and that's a bit time consuming. So I wanted something that would give me more spools of thread, even though it's a single needle machine, just, you know, that I could pre-set up and everything's ready to go. So I bought these 2 stands, and these are very inexpensive from Amazon. I didn't know really what I was getting, but I thought, well, for $19, I got 2 of these in the package, and easy to put together. And so now you can see I could have the potential of 6 more spools of thread ready to go. And it's off to the side of my machine. Now, one thing you want to do when you're doing something like this is to make sure your thread doesn't come near your flywheel, because that can cause you a problem. Ask me how I know. But I find that these work really well. Now, I'll be honest, at the time of making this little video clip, I just got this all set up, so I'm not sure if this is the permanent setup I'm going to have or whether I'm going to do some rearranging. I might put them in behind the machine a little bit more, or one of them anyways. But for now, I'm liking it. They are very light. I'm hoping that with the tugging of the thread that they don't fall over, because they are very light. But I'm also thinking that I can add possibly some magnets or some 2-sided sticky tape on the bottom of these. For that matter, even a glue gun, and maybe make a little base here. I could print a base for these that would raise them up just a little higher, and I might do that yet. And put some weight in the base as well, if that's a problem. But right now, this is my initial setup. So if I do some improvements to this, I'll show them to you later on. Okay, so yeah, and I know someone's going to say you better be careful of your flywheel, which you can see peeking around over my shoulder over here. Yes, I'm aware of that. And I have them situated so that they won't get caught up on that. Ask me how I know if that's dangerous, because I have had that happen. Yeah. And so that brings us to the subscriber's quilt of the week. And this comes from a longtime subscriber, and her name is Glenna Miller. This week's subscriber's quilt comes from Glenna Miller, who's been a longtime subscriber to the channel, and she has sent us this beautiful creation, which is applique. And she says this about it. A while back, during one of your sew-alongs, your viewer, Dana, challenged me to use my AccuQuilt and the butterfly die to make a quilt. I finally finished mine. I used my never-ending supply of batiks for this quilt. I did need to purchase batik for the background and backing. If you look closely, I used some decorative stitches to applique each butterfly, and I also made my own chenille for the flower stems, a technique I learned in a quilt making class. Well, this is absolutely gorgeous, and I love the fact that you used an AccuQuilt for it, because I'm always looking for projects and ideas for using my AccuQuilt system. And I think you did a fine job with these butterflies. And unfortunately, the picture that you sent us does not really show the decorative stitches that clearly, and I can't really blow it up to give you a better perspective of this. I don't think I can. I'll give it a try here. Oh, maybe I can. Oh, this is promising. Okay, it's going to go a bit pixely though. Yeah, it's... I guess down this one down the bottom, you can sort of see it too. But anyways, it is a beautiful quilt, and that must have taken you some time, but I'm sure the AccuQuilt really helped a great deal. And I love the batiks. I always love batiks. So I think this is a fine example of a quilt that can be made using an AccuQuilt, but also the whole technique of doing applique as well. So I'm glad you rose to Dana's challenge because you did a wonderful job. Very beautiful quilt. Thank you, Glenna, for sending that to me. So that brings us to the YouTube of the week. This one's called Episode 125, Dollar Store Notions. Now, this is done by a gentleman and a lady who used to run a regular YouTube show. They haven't done this for years, but suddenly it's popping up in my feed, the old shows. And the gentleman involved is one that Walter has taken classes from because he's a garment sewer. And his name is Ron Collins. So this is all about dollar store notions, and well, here's my review of that video. This week's YouTube video clip is one from the past. This is from something called Power Sewing Web TV, and they're reposting. Somebody is reposting them. I don't know if it's YouTube that's doing it or it's the content creators, because I don't think this show exists anymore. But the reason I'm putting it up here is because I came upon it by accident. It showed up in my recommended feed. And the gentleman that's in this video with the lady, his name is Ron Collins. And Walter has taken some classes with Ron Collins before. Ron Collins is not a quilter. He's a garment sewer. He has patterns published by Vogue, and he is Canadian. And this is some time ago because Ron's a little bit older now. Still looks good though, but with a little bit more gray in his hair. And this is a really interesting episode because it talks about dollar store notions. Now, that isn't really a new concept. You can find many videos on there talking about things you can get at a dollar store that you can use in your sewing room. But because of the nature of this particular program, these two individuals are to a certain degree celebrities. Ron certainly is. Then I thought it might be worth you checking it out. If you're a garment sewer, this is definitely probably within your wheelhouse. But even if you're a quilter, you may find some interesting things here with notions that we can use for both sewing garments and for sewing a quilt. So yeah, check it out. So that brings me to a future project that I would like to work on. And this one is a bag that you do in the hoop in your embroidery machine. I've done a couple of these kind of bags before, and I love the end result. And this one looks really fun as well. It's called Tropical Leaves Bag, and it's by Sweet Pea Designs. Future project that I want to do very soon is this one. It's an in the hoop project, and it's by Sweet Pea Designs, and it is a bag. And yes, you can make a tote bag in the hoop. Now, mind you, they are limited in their size, although this one looks pretty big because it goes. You can use a hoop that'll handle a 7x12 design. It says. As I said, it's by Sweet Pea Designs, and it's called the Tropical Leaves Bag, and right now it's on sale for $10 for the pattern Canadian, so that means it's a little cheaper in American dollars as well. But this, I have found Sweet Pea Designs are very easy to follow. They're very well explained, and it looks like now what they're doing is they're also putting videos on their site as well to show you what the finished product is going to look like, and they talk a little bit about it. They give you all the project dimensions, and they give you all kinds of information about making the bag and different shots of it. I think this one's really cool. I'm not going to do it when I do it. I won't do it in these colors probably. So mine may not be quite tropical, but I just like the leaf design on it, and I like making bags in the hoop because, well, it's very, very easy. There is some sewing you need to do with your regular sewing machine, like when you put the lining into the bag, that kind of thing, but it's not difficult. So if you've never thought about doing a bag with your embroidery machine, this might be a great project for you. The Tropical Leaves Bag by Sweet Pea Designs. And what am I working on over the next week? Well, I've already mentioned everything. I finished up that table runner, the whimsical turkey table runner, so I'm making some matching or coordinating, let's call them coordinating, they're not really matching, coordinating napkins. Actually, to let you know something, at the time of recording this, I have finished those napkins and I will be showing them next week on here. And not only that, but I also have some napkin rings that I've made 3D printed for them as well. So all of that I'll show next week on the episode. And as I said earlier, I'm working on a 3D printed centerpiece, and I'm hoping to have that done by next week's video as well. So that's just a little sneak peek at what's coming up. Okay, so that brings us to online quilt stores, and this is one I stumbled upon called Simply Sew Quilt Company. This week's online quilt store is one that's out in Western Canada, and we'll check exactly where it is in a moment, but it's called Simply Sew Quilt Company. And this is their opening page, and they do show that they have a long arm quilting service as well, and their prices for all of that. Then they show some of their new arrivals, and they talk about a welcome code. If it's your first time, you get 10% off your order. They have a newsletter as well, and they are located in Medicine Hat, Alberta, Canada. And I did notice that they have free shipping within Canada for over $200 orders, and their other shipping information, if we can find it here, is by Canada Post. And I'm just looking to see if we can find the price. Payment method, but it doesn't really show the cost, so I guess it depends on how much you have ordered, and it will probably come up when you place your order. But they do offer free shipping, as it says up here, over $200. Okay, that flipped around. I don't know if we can flip it back. Must be on a timer, but if it's over $200, it's free shipping within Canada. I'm not sure what they would charge for, there it is there. I'm not sure what they charge for outside of Canada. That might be something you'd have to look into. Oh, it says here, for U.S. residents, please contact us directly to prepare a quote for the shipping of your purchase. So, yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the home page. And let's go shop now. And on the front page, you have here all their products listed. On the side, they have all products. 2.5 edition bound. I'm not sure what that is. Let's click on it, just see what that is. Oh, well, that's a fabric. Okay, so they list their fabrics by name, and interspersed in this is also your pre-cuts like charm packs and things. It's in alphabetical order, and they have backing and they bag and tote accessories, batting, etc. So let's take a look. Now they have one that's called fabrics. Okay, I'm assuming that's everything. This is your category description. It's a great place to tell customers what this category is about. Connect with the audience. Okay, this kind of looks like the description for building the page, okay, in there. So obviously it looks like they may do in-house for designing a website through a third-party program, but whatever. Let's see what we can find out. Well, what's their price? Okay, I hate it. Right off the bat, we're talking $4.19. That's got to be for a quarter meter. Let's see. Select yardage. Okay, quarter meter. So yeah, that's a quarter meter. So for a meter, now is that a meter or is that a yard? They're calling it yardage. I'm just scanning through what they're saying here, and I am not finding anything that tells me for sure whether this is, yeah, I don't know if we're getting this in meterage or it truly is yardage. So let's see, $16.75 a yard or a meter. That isn't bad price-wise. Okay, let's go back over and just scan through. So 419 quarter meter, we'll say. Because of that confusion, I'm taking a point off the score out of 10 because I'm not finding anything readily here that tells me whether this is coming in meters or in yards. And that's important. So $5, that puts it to $20 a yard or meter. Some as low as $3.61 a quarter. $4.99, $5. Okay, so their prices are a little bit all over the place here. Looks like, yeah, okay, now here they're listing it by the yard. Okay, $15.99 a yard. Well, that's pretty good price-wise on that. Did they do that on these other ones? No, on some of these they do, and some of them they don't. Okay, that's really weird and very confusing. And this one, $3.99. Yeah, that would be $15.99 a yard. Okay. So, yeah, pricing is a little confusing. All right, but they seem to have quite a lot of fabric. Now let's go through and see here. I don't like this interface that well. This is kind of, you know, it's in numeric or in alphabetical order. It's one way of organizing, I guess. Halloween themed. Okay, we're coming towards Halloween, so what do we got here? Actually, not much to choose from, but pretty inexpensive. Well, pretty, a good price. $16 a yard. Okay, and it's a specialty fabric for Halloween, so that's a good price. And they've put in a layer cake here as well. I'm just looking, let's see, Kona solids. What are they selling those for? Okay, that's all they have. They have 5 Kona salads, and they're in grays. They're in neutrals. $3.38 a quarter, so that's 12. So that's about $14 yard. Okay. Not much there to choose from. What else do they have? Yeah, the more I look at this interfacing, or not interfacing, the interface for this, for finding things, the more confused I get. Okay. It's kind of like they throw this up whenever something comes in. Quilt collections. What's quilt collections? Okay, these are notions. Okay. That's kind of confusing too. I'm taking another point off because I am finding this very disturbing, looking up things here. Okay, so I guess we have to go back then to fabrics. And does it tell us how many pages we have? No, it just says load more. Did it make any indication on the side? Nope, there's no indication of how much they have to choose from here. So you're just basically browsing and hoping to find something. And I don't like browsing. Sorry, some people do. Sometimes it can be fun. But yeah, well, that's it. Okay. So I take back what I said about their selection. Yeah, they have a little Christmas mixed in here. Yeah, selection is not good. Okay, there's not a lot of selection. I'm taking another point off for that. All right, let's take a look at backing. Width from 60 to 108 inches. 2-yard cuts on that one. $32 for 108. $48. And then here, fireside, $4.30. I imagine that's for a quarter. That's 60 inches. Again, their pricing is all over the place. I find it very confusing. It's not very consistent. Okay, that that is a fairly good price. If that's a quarter, let's just go in and see. Quantity 1. 1 watt. Yardage. Fabric is sold in increments of a quarter yard. If you purchase more than 1 unit, it will be a continuous piece. Okay. So it's in yards. So if I want 4 with this will give me a yard. Okay. But this price doesn't, so it's $5.80 a yard. And it's 108-inch backing. And it's Benertex, which is a good brand. Something seems suspicious about that. So this puts it at what? About $22. $22 for 108-inch. Well, that's a good price. And they have others here too. Related products. Okay, this is confusing. Just, I do not like their user interface at all. So read carefully when you're in here. Okay, next. All right, let's see if we can get back to where they showed all their backing and look at their prices. $10.93 yard, 80-inch. That's fireside. Yeah, this, you've got to do a lot of reading here to make sure you're getting the right thing and checking the prices, because it seems to be all over the place. I'm taking off half a point for the confusion that I'm finding, and the more I'm working with this website, the more confused I get. Okay, let's move on to something else. Let's take a look at patterns. They have patterns. Okay, standard pricing. Not a lot to choose from. Okay, bag and tote accessories. We have webbing. They have your hardware. Okay, nothing to write home about that. And not a lot to choose from. Batting and interfacing. What are they selling batting at? Oh, no product yet, so they don't have that. Bella Solids, okay, books. Do people actually buy books anymore? I don't know. They only have one anyway, so don't have to worry about that. Charm packs. Yeah, and again, not much of a selection. And okay, cutting mats, rotary blades, anything else here that say they have cross stitch supplies. If you're into cross stitching, okay, again, not much to choose from. This is a very limited website. I mean, I got excited when I first saw this long list here, but really, it isn't what that was suggesting. Jelly rolls. Yeah, okay. Well, what else can we say about this? Is there anything else? They have long arm services. You get a gift card as well. Okay, it started out when I saw the front page like I was going to be really excited, but I am not. So I suspect that what they primarily are more of a long arm quilting service, rather that sells a limited amount of quilting supplies. So overall, I'm going to give this about a 6 out of 10 as my rating for all the reasons I've already gone over with. So if you're interested in long arm services, if you live in the Medicine Hat area, this might be someplace for you to check out. But in my opinion, any other part of Canada, not worth the virtual drive. That's simply Sew Quilt Company. So that brings me to the end of this episode of the Idiot Quilter. So sorry about my voice, about my throat. I don't know what's going on there. It's better now. I guess I start recording too early in the morning. My throat hasn't Awoken. Yeah, awaken. Oh, I don't know. Anyways, just a reminder that this coming Saturday, October the 5th, 9 a.m., I open up registration for the Idiot Quilter Fall 2024 retreat. So I hope you're able to get registered for it. We'll see how that goes. And if you can't be right there at 9 o'clock, don't panic. Okay, I said it fills up fast, but usually it fills up over a period of a couple of days. I mean, I wouldn't snooze because you'll lose. But, those of you out on the West Coast, I know for you that would be about 6 o'clock in the morning when I open it up. And those of you in other places in the world, well, yeah. And you'll have to figure out the time that works best for you. But my time is Eastern, 9 a.m. Eastern is when I open up the registration, and it is free. It is absolutely free. Okay, I think that's it for me looking at my notes. Yeah. So check out the show notes for any links that I've to things that I've mentioned here today. And I hope you have a great week and stay tuned for So Chatty this week. I am hoping we will have our first video up of Walter teaching me how to make a shirt. That is definitely going to be one heck of a comedy routine, I can tell you. Anyways, have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.